Welcome, Ultimate Hoops. I'm here with Sean Richardson. Again, we're back week 7. Going to give a little recap of how things went down this week. Starting on Monday night, we got Schaumburg lineup. We had our first game. We had lunchtime versus Homeboys. That was a very good game for lunchtime. What was the key there?
That was a must-win for lunchtime. Seeing as how this season I think it's only the top 6 let in Schaumburg, and lunchtime was right there at the bottom 2 or 3 that were left to get in. So they needed a big win, especially against the top team in Schaumburg, so they could try to solidify a spot in these playoffs. It was a real up and down, exciting game, but in the end, I think Jeff McCaman, he had 47 points. It was just too much for it was just too much. It was just too much for Homeboys to overcome. Ryan Harris tried with almost scoring 40 points. I think he had like 38, but they couldn't overcome the offensive firepower of Jeff that game.
Did that game say anything about Homeboys, who were undefeated now? Oh wait, yeah, they were undefeated. Now they're not.
I think it kind of just showed where they lack on the interior. I mean, they have Willie Clark Sr. and Willie Clark Jr., who are both undersized. They're great athletes. They're really good rebounders, but when it comes down to it, they're undersized.
What about Quinn Butler?
Quinn Butler, who's probably the only person that they have above 6'3" on that team. Well, he can't guard everybody, and he's more of like a wing player anyway. He doesn't like to get too dirty inside. He doesn't like to bump and bruise. So to me, it just showed the lack of interior presence that they have.
Okay. Then the next game actually was a very meaningful game because you had Post-Traumatic, who had were they winless on the season? No, they came off a win, and then you had Free Ballin', who was also I believe 2-4 coming into the game, and that went to a thriller.
Right. Post-Traumatic did just get a very big win over there in Bloomingdale, and they thought that might ignite something. They started the game off real hot. They're probably up 10, maybe 12, 15 points the whole game. And then at the very end, Free Ballin' just made a comeback and hit some very big threes. In regulation, Dennis Johnson hits a very big 3 in a corner.
Tamaris?
I thought his name was Johnson.
Dennis Johnson played in the NBA.
Oh, okay. That's just his NBA comparison. My bad. Dennis hit a very big 3 to send him to overtime, and then in the actual overtime period, John Shadipo has a near turnover to where Marco Piemonte, is that his name? Piemonte, he picks it up almost near half court, turns around, chucks it up, and it goes in when they were down by 2. So that was a very big win for Free Ballin', and that just killed the chances of getting in the playoffs for Post-Traumatic.
We actually caught that shot on film, and Jarvis Cobb caught up with Marco Piemonte, so we're going to pan into that game and see what Marco had to say.
All right, we're here with Marco Piemonte of Free Ballin'. Strong, just a hard fought out game, man. Dennis hit the 3 to take you guys into overtime.
He did a good job.
It came down to the last play.
I gotta say,
dude, just tell me how you were feeling as that ball was coming.
I blacked out a little bit. No, I'm just playing with you. It hit off John. John had a tough game.
Right.
Dan we all had a tough game. So I told John, I was yelling, trust me. It knocked off his shin. I just picked it up, and I had no chance to look at the clock, so I just put it up.
Man.
And with no shame, too, because I had a bad game, so that made up for it.
Oh, man, that was a huge shot, dude. Huge shot. After just what's the first thoughts going through your mind?
I let it go. I had an odd feeling it was good because the spin on the ball, the way I put it up, it felt good. And you know what? I shoot from my hit normally, so when I let it go, I was like, I got a good chance of it. So I felt good, though. I had such a bad game. It made up for it all.
Man, that's awesome, man. So let's push you guys with 3 wins this season. Push you in the playoff run for sure. How you feeling about going into the playoffs?
We're a team that nobody wants to see. We have lost, I think, 3 or 4 games by a combined 8 points. We gave one team 7 points because we didn't have jerseys at one point. We will win, and we will do well. There's not a doubt about it. I know one thing. If we're the bottom seed, the top seed don't want to see us.
And there you go, Marco, with all the confidence in the world, baby. Come playoff time, we'll see what Free Ballin' do.
All right, Sean, we're back. We got our third game where we had
Limitless
and the Bulls.
A
rivalry for many seasons.
It's very, very big rivalry in Schaumburg. This season, the Bulls aren't having that much luck. They've been hit with injuries, and they just don't look the same. They're still missing Slop Watson, who I'm not sure if he's returning the season at all. They did get Nick Cordero back. They got Chanel Davis back, who are very good players, some of the top players in Schaumburg. But they weren't able to stop Fred Taylor when it came down to it. Fred, this season, since I left, actually, has picked up his playmaking ability drastically, going from averaging probably maybe 1.5 assists a game to almost 4.5, 5. He's setting players up, even though they're not all shooting that great. He's improved a lot on the offensive end by looking for other people.
For the Bulls, I think they now sit at 2-5. Is that right? Sound right to you?
Yeah.
Is there a chance that the reigning champions might not make the playoffs?
Yeah, this upcoming week, the last week of the regular season, is all about tiebreakers, and they're going to be going up against free balling, I believe. And if they beat free balling, I think they'll hold the tiebreaker. If they lose, they're definitely out. So that next week for them is a must-win game. They have to win that game in order to get in.
Okay. And then our last game, we got Flight X. Started out season hot. Now they're just fading against Watch the Throne, who is maybe the hottest team in Ultimate Hoops Chicago right now.
I do believe they're the hottest team in Ultimate Hoops. Mike McGahee, one of the top rookies in the league, top MVP candidates. You got Bobby Rhodes, who's been real selfless all season. He doesn't look only for his shot this season. The whole team just passes the ball around. Even JaVale Cooks is looking more like a team player this season. So that team, they're real scrappy. They can all shoot. Mike McGahee can defend the interior with the best of them. I think he leads the league in shot blocks. And I mean, they're just a really good team. They're looking like the favorites to win the championship to me so far.
Okay. That kind of wraps up what we saw at Schaumburg this week. Let's turn it over to Bloomingdale from Tuesday night's games. Started off right off the bat. We had Unlimited Edition versus Hard Target. Hard Target, one of those hot teams as well. Unlimited Edition came off a loss, but we really didn't see much differently from them from that loss.
No, that loss last week didn't mean anything for them. They played up against Hard Target this week, who was missing their best player, Wayne Sears, and I think he was out of town on business or something. But that still was a very close game. They came down to the wire, came down to the very end, and I don't know. Unlimited Edition, to me, we're the early season favorites, but they're about to lose Mitch for the rest of the season, who has a hernia, I believe. He's getting surgery on that, and I mean, they got Willie Clark and Jeremy, but they don't have that point guard or that glue guy to set them up each time like Mitch can, and then take over when the team needs him to. So I'd like to see how that team pans out without Mitch for the rest of the season.
Our second game, we saw no size, typical no size basically team, same what we come to expect against. That's what she said. It seems to me like Lafayette Bell is starting to gel more with that team.
Yeah, he's not trying to be the main player anymore. He's just working within their system, taking his shots when they're giving them now. Past seasons, you'd see him check up 20, 25 shots, just because he probably believed that's what he needed to do. But instead, he's using his offensive weapons and just taking what the defense gives him. He's passing a little bit more. The whole team is just very unselfish, and they look really good all around. And they had a rough start, but they finally put it together, and they start stringing up the wins like they're used to.
How do you feel about those two teams going into the postseason? Are those kind of maybe becoming two of Bloomingdale's favorites?
I would say no size, and that's what she said. Every season is one of the top teams in the league. This season, no size is taking some tough losses. They've missed players some games, but that's what she said. They just took a few early losses, I believe. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 or how many, but they haven't looked back since. Brian Evans been on a triple-double tear. They got some newcomers. I think his name is Mike, who he adds toughness inside. Lafayette's playing real selfless. He's giving the ball up a lot more. So that team, they're looking really good to me. Their team is probably my choice for
A three-peat?
to win the three-peat, unless Lake Show can pull something off.
Which, speaking of Lake Show went against New Era this week. Break it down.
I think Lake Show had made 2 key late additions this season, and on the interior and the wing, and especially Mike McGahee, who can do it all. I mean, this kid, he can give you 30 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists, 4 steals, 5 blocks. He can dominate at every end of the game, every facet of the game. He can be effective. And you have a player like him alongside with myself, and just setting up Dan Silver, who's probably going to average 35 for the season with both of us on the team. I mean, it's very tough to guard because everybody can play make, everybody's unselfish, and Mike just added a ton of athleticism to that team. So I really like Lake Show's chances this season to put up a banner.
Did that game? What about New Era? What did you see from them? I mean, anything yet?
What I see from them is the fact that they have tons of talent on the wings and inside, but they don't have any good guard play. I mean, they have people who can shoot the ball if you give it to them, but nobody's going to take it and play make and set up for somebody else. Their guard play or playmaking ability is probably at the worst in the league. I would be surprised if that team averaged 7 assists a game, to be honest. It's a lot of one-on-one and flashiness, and that doesn't translate to wins all the time.
Last game, you had all black everything. Maybe it was a game they needed, blowing out Team America. What do you think about those two?
Yeah, this last past week, all black everything was a game that was very much needed for them. Mark Holmes has been in somewhat of a slump. It wouldn't be a slump for your average player, but for him, he's playing a little under the level that he's used to. So he needed this win. It's a big win for Elston. Delvon, who was missing, I think he was missing a few weeks with knee tendonitis, and they had taken some losses. So they needed this win just to boost their confidence, let them know that they're still a good team in Bloomingdale. As far as Team America, I know they lost Anthony, who was one of their top shooters, and they're a solid team, but I don't see them making any noise in the playoffs, to be honest. Probably one and done for them.
All right, everyone, that's Week 7 recap, Schaumburg, Bloomingdale. Tune in to next week, and we'll see how Week 8 unfolds and going into the playoffs. Thanks.